Have you ever noticed how just one comment, one glance, or a small attitude from someone can stir a storm inside you? A single criticism keeps you awake at night. A forgotten message fills you with anger. A tiny misunderstanding unsettles your whole day. You try to appear calm, yet your heart races, your breath quickens, and a hidden fire rises in your chest. You know you should stay silent. You know you should let go. But something deep within you insists on reacting, defending, proving you are not weak. That is the moment when emotion begins to control you. It is not that you are angry, it is that anger is driving you. It is not you who reacts, it is the ego reacting through you. The Buddha once said, holding onto a hot coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else, "You are the one who gets burned." Anger, hurt, pride, all are such coals. Every time you hold them tightly in your heart, you punish no one but yourself. You burn away your own peace. The frightening part is that most of us don't even realize the fire is burning. We think we are justified, offended, or mistreated. Yet in truth, we are merely imprisoned by our own emotions. If you look deeply, you will see no one can take away your peace unless you hand it to them. Emotion does not come to destroy you, it comes to illuminate the parts of you you haven't yet understood. Anger reveals your attachment. Hurt reveals your craving for validation. And it is in that very moment when you most want to explode that the opportunity appears to pause, to observe, and to become the master rather than the puppet. Ask yourself, how many times have you let a single sentence ruin your whole day? How many times has pride made you say something you later regretted? How many times have you sacrificed your peace just to prove you were right each time you didn't defeat anyone? You only lost to yourself. But from that realization, a door opens. If emotions can lead you, you can also learn to lead them. The mind need not be a battlefield. It can become a garden where anger transforms into understanding and hurt is healed through awareness. You don't need to erase emotions. You only need to learn not to be ruled by them. And that journey, the journey of reclaiming mastery over your inner world, is the path back to freedom, peace, and your truest strength. Anger is fire. It flares quickly, burns fiercely, and destroys everything it touches. In those moments, you may feel powerful, your voice louder, your arguments sharper, your emotions blazing as if righteousness itself is on your side. But when the fire dies down, all that remains are ashes of regret, pain, and loss. The truth is, anger never makes you stronger, it only makes you lose control. It scorches clarity, clouds wisdom, and causes you to lose yourself in words that can never be taken back. The Buddha warned, "You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger." Anger needs no time to take revenge. It punishes you the moment it erupts. Your mind burns, your words cut, and your heart hardens. Like a torch aflame, the one holding it cannot harm others without burning their own hands. Thus wisdom lies not in putting out the fire once it's raging, but in seeing the spark as it first appears. It often begins small, a disrespectful word, a condescending look, a silence that stings. The body knows before the mind does. Your heartbeat quickens, breath tightens, throat dries, fists clench. Those are the signals. In that instant, the one who trains the mind does not react, they observe. They quietly say within, this is the fire. They neither suppress nor resist. They allow the emotion to rise and fade, knowing that fire dies when it is not fed. Each time you pause before speaking, breathe, before reacting, you create a space between stimulus and response. That space is inner freedom. In that space, you are no longer the victim of emotion, but its observer. Buddhism calls this mindfulness, awareness in the storm. Like a guard on a watchtower seeing the fire from afar, they do not run toward it, they simply see. Fire needs fuel to spread, and the fuel of anger is reaction words, and the ego's need to win. When you stop feeding it, the fire burns out. True strength is not in the power to strike back, but in the power not to be pulled in. Don't rush to prove you are right, prove that you are in control. The wise are not those who extinguish every fire around them, but those who keep the lamp of peace burning within. For when the mind is still, no wind can set you ablaze. One of the greatest causes of human suffering is the belief that everything others say or do is about us. When someone judges, withdraws, gets angry, or grows cold, we immediately think they're against me. They look down on me. They don't respect me. In that very moment, we lose our peace. But the Buddha taught nothing is personal. Every person acts from their own inner world, from fear, from wounds, from experiences, and from the limits of their perception. When someone loses their temper, they are not revealing who you are, but where they are in their own evolution of understanding. Imagine standing before a mirror. If the mirror is covered in dust, your reflection will appear blurred. But the fault is not yours. It lies in the dust upon the glass. Humans are the same. They can only see you through the dust of their own mind, old memories, unhealed pain, distorted beliefs about the world. A wounded person sees threats everywhere. A jealous person sees rivals everywhere. A kind person sees light everywhere. Others do not see you as you are. They see you through the lens of who they are. Therefore, when criticized or insulted, instead of reacting, remind yourself, this is their reflection, not my truth. If someone throws venomous words your way, don't swallow them. Poison can only harm the one who drinks it. When you refuse to take it, the toxin remains where it was born. The Buddha once asked his disciples, if someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong? The answer, it still belongs to the giver. Do not let your mind become a dumping ground for others' emotions. They have the right to anger, but you have the right to peace. They may shout, but you may remain silent. No one can force you to carry their energy unless you agree to. Once you truly understand this, you will stop being drawn into meaningless battles. The wise do not react to every echo of the world. They listen and discern which voices belong to their own mind and which belong to others. When you stop taking things personally, you reclaim your freedom. You are no longer easily offended, sleepless over careless words, or trapped in endless cycles of proving yourself. Because you know clearly you are not the mirror of others. You are the light reflected within your own heart. And when you live with that awareness, no one can ever cloud your inner peace again. When emotions surge, the mind becomes like a lake struck by stones. Everything turns murky. You no longer see reality, only the ripples of your own agitation. In that moment, what you need is not more reasoning, but a return to the breath. The breath is the bridge between body and mind, between chaos and calm, between reaction and self-mastery. The Buddha called this anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, the foundation of liberation. For the breath is the one constant companion in joy and sorrow, in storms and in stillness. When angry, your breath shortens. When fearful, it becomes erratic. When grieving, it catches in your chest. The breath mirrors your inner state, and it is also the key to mastering it. No one can breathe in the past or future. The breath exists only in the present. And when you truly return to your breath, you return to yourself. Try this before saying a word you'll regret, before reacting to someone, before emotion flares like fire. Just stop. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly. Feel the air enter and leave your body. 3 breaths, but 3 breaths of awareness. In that small pause, something miraculous happens. The storm within you begins to settle. You are no longer being led. You are leading. You are no longer swept away by emotion, but standing still in its flow. Modern science confirms this truth. When you breathe consciously, the parasympathetic nervous system activates. Your heartbeat slows, the stress centers of your brain quiet down. The breath is the switch between instinctive reaction and intelligent response. Just one mindful moment moves your mind into a new space where there is no impulse, only clarity. Practice conscious breathing not only in moments of crisis, but in the small details of daily life. When eating, eat with the breath. When listening, breathe slowly to truly hear. When walking, feel each step in rhythm with your breath. Gradually, The breath becomes a faithful friend, reminding you that peace is not found elsewhere. It lives within each inhalation, each exhalation. The world outside may be noisy people, unpredictable circumstances, ever-changing. Yet as long as you remember to return to your breath, you will never lose your way. You don't need to control the storm, you only need to stand where your mind is still, and in that stillness you will find true peace. No fire ever burns without fuel, and no anger arises without reason. Every emotion, reaction, and wound has a root cause. The Buddha taught, when one sees the cause, suffering ends. Because the root of suffering does not lie in external events, but in the way we interpret and respond to them. When someone insults, betrays, or ignores us, the ego's first impulse is to fight back. Yet, if we pause long enough to observe, we'll see that what they do says nothing about our worth, it only reveals their pain. Look one layer deeper. Behind anger is often fear. Fear of losing status, of being disrespected, of not being loved. Behind coldness lies unhealed hurt. Behind harsh words is pain seeking release. People act from wounds they have not yet faced. When we see this, our hearts soften, not to excuse the wrong, but to stop feeding the cycle of suffering. Because when we respond with the same energy, hatred for hatred, we only sow new seeds for future pain. Understanding the cause begins to break the chain of reaction. No one can end a cycle they haven't yet seen clearly. Each time someone hurts, you ask yourself, what pain is this person carrying that makes them act this way? That question not only brings clarity but widens the heart. For the one causing pain is also in pain. Like a person with a thorn in their hand, they prick others simply because they don't yet know how to remove their own. This doesn't mean you must tolerate injustice. It simply means you choose understanding over reaction. For understanding is the foundation of compassion, and compassion is the only way out of suffering. When you see the cause, you no longer get trapped in the effect. When you understand the reason behind another's words or behavior, you are no longer agitated by it. You stop arguing with echoes and begin to listen for the source. Remember, when a dog barks, you don't need to bark back. When thunder roars, you don't need to shout at the sky. You simply understand the nature of the phenomenon and let it pass. Likewise, when someone is angry, you don't need to become the second fire. Just stand firm in understanding, and you break the karma of reaction. The wise do not stop at the surface of words. They look through to the cause beneath, and there they find freedom. Because when you see the cause, you no longer wish to retaliate. When you see the cause, you no longer wish to win. You simply wish to stop, and in that stopping, suffering dissolves. We are raised in a world that worships victory, to be right, to be better, to prove our worth by defeating others. From small debates to deep conflicts, the mind is always urged to win. But the more we try to win, the more we lose the most important thing, inner peace. The Buddha said, "The winner breeds hatred, the loser lives in pain. Only one who renounces victory and defeat finds peace." In life, many times, we think we have won, but in truth, we've only been defeated by the ego. In an argument, we want our words acknowledged, we want the other to fall silent. But after winning, are we truly happy? Or do we feel heavy, empty, and somehow disconnected? Because in every battle, regardless of who is right, love always loses. The more we try to prove ourselves, the tighter we bind ourselves to the need for validation. The ego wants to hear, "I am right," but the soul only seeks to be at peace, and rarely do the two coexist. The truth is, most conflicts are not about truth, but pride. When someone touches our beliefs, our honor, or our emotions, the ego instantly builds walls. It doesn't want to listen, it wants to fight. But what you gain from winning such a battle will never outweigh what you lose, your energy, your dignity, your peace. That's why the wise do not strive to win. They simply choose not to play that game. They understand that every time they engage in comparison or competition, they surrender their freedom. Think about the arguments in your life. How often have you truly changed someone by shouting louder? Almost never. Because transformation doesn't come from being overpowered, it comes from being understood. So when you are calm enough to stop needing to win, you've already begun to win on a higher level victory over the ego. You no longer need the last word. You no longer need others to think you're right. You only need to keep your inner silence. Letting go of the need to win is not surrender, it is maturity. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you solid as a mountain. When someone tries to pull you into a meaningless battle, smile and let go of the rope. In tug of war, if you release your grip, the other falls by their own force. The world doesn't need you to win, it needs you to be peaceful. Because a peaceful person spreads stillness, while a competitive one spreads noise. So, next time you feel the urge to prove yourself, pause and ask, am I seeking truth or just the feeling of being right? If it's the latter, let it go. Because when you no longer need to win, no one can make you lose. And in that stillness, you'll realize the greatest victory in life is not having to defeat anyone at all. Have you ever noticed how a single careless comment can weigh down your whole day? A sarcastic remark, a disrespectful attitude, a cold message, and suddenly your mind turns into a battlefield. But pause for a moment and ask yourself what truly hurts you, their words or your decision to believe them. The Buddha offered a profound teaching. If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong? The answer, it still belongs to the giver. The same is true of insults, judgments, and attacks. If you do not accept them, they cannot harm you. Every insult is a package filled with negative energy, anger, envy, insecurity. When someone offers you that gift, they are merely trying to transfer their suffering onto you. But if you open it, if you react, get angry or retaliate, you've accepted that energy into your heart. You become the victim of your own choice. The other person may soon forget what they said, but you will carry it in your mind for hours, even days. You think you are responding fairly, yet in truth you have agreed to suffer in their place. Remember, insults only stick where the ego still resides. If someone says something meaningless, you don't care. But if they touch the soft spot, pride, the need for validation, the fear of being disrespected, you react. Which means the words themselves hold no power, only the power you give them. When you realize this, you understand no one can hurt you unless you invite them in. The truth is, most insults say nothing about you. They speak volumes about the other. A suffering person seeks to spread suffering. An unsettled mind tries to make others unsettled. But the wise do not react. They observe. They see that one who lashes out is more in need of compassion than confrontation. By refusing to take in their energy, you break the chain of transmitted pain. You stop the karmic cycle. To reject the gift of insult is not weakness. It is the strength of one who masters themselves. The weak react. The strong remain still. The unwise strike back. The wise simply smile. When you no longer carry others' words in your heart, the world may stay noisy, but within you it becomes calm as a still lake. Not everyone will understand that stillness, but it is your greatest weapon, the shield that guards your peace against the world's assaults. In today's world, where everyone rushes to speak and prove themselves, silence has become a rare form of power. People often mistake silence for weakness, passivity, or defeat. But in Buddhism, there is a higher kind of silence, noble silence, born not of fear but of wisdom and compassion. It is the silence of one who knows that not every question deserves an answer, not every attack deserves a reaction, and not every noise deserves another sound. The Buddha taught, before you speak, let your words pass through 3 gates. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If a word cannot pass through all 3, then silence is the best reply. For words are energy once released, they cannot be taken back. They can heal, but they can also wound deeply. And paradoxically, the more we speak, the more likely we are to speak unwisely. The wise know how to stop before words turn into weapons. Think back. How many times have you spoken in anger and regretted it moments later? How many times have you wished you had remained silent instead of speaking to set things right? In those moments, you realize silence is not losing, it is choosing peace over victory. Silence is not avoidance, it is self-mastery. When you stay silent at the right time, you preserve your energy instead of draining it through meaningless battles. Those who train the mind understand that words are not for winning arguments, but for healing hearts. If what you say cannot ease someone's pain, bring clarity, or spread kindness, let silence speak instead. For silence has its own voice, a soundless presence that can move others to reflection. In anger, your silence becomes a mirror that helps the others see themselves. And the miracle is this: when you learn to be silent, your words thereafter carry 10 times more weight because they arise from stillness, not ego. When you speak less but speak with truth, when your tone is gentle yet your meaning deep, your words become light that guides rather than arrows that wound. So next time someone provokes you, try to stay silent. Let your calmness be your response. Let your eyes, your breath, and your presence speak in place of 1,000 words. For when the mind is still, silence is no longer the absence of sound, it is the highest expression of wisdom. And sometimes what changes the world is not what we say, but the way we stay quietly awake. People often fear the phrase "let go" because they think letting go means giving up, being weak, or becoming cold toward life. But in the Buddha's teaching, detachment does not mean indifference, it means freedom. It is not the extinguishing of emotion, but the ability to see all things as they are arising and passing, being born and fading, belonging to no one forever. Suffering does not come from loving, hoping, or trying. It comes from clinging. When we hold tightly, we fear loss, and in that fear of losing, we lose our peace. The Buddha compared attachment to holding a burning rope. The tighter you grip, the more you burn. Detachment is knowing when to release, not from apathy, but from understanding that holding on only deepens the pain. One who practices detachment is not emotionless, but deeply feeling without being ruled by emotion. They still love, care, and give wholeheartedly, but do not let outcomes or others' reactions decide the state of their heart. Look back at your deepest hurts. Didn't they all stem from expecting someone to act the way you wanted or life to follow your plan? We suffer not because of events, but because of the belief that things should be different. Yet life is like flowing water. The more you try to grasp it, the faster it slips away. When you learn to release, the water is not lost. It merely changes form. Detachment is not apathy. Apathy says, "I don't care." Detachment says, "I care, but I will not let it disturb my peace." The apathetic heart closes. The detached heart opens. It does not deny emotion. It simply does not identify with it. It knows that one can feel pain without living in pain, love without possessing, lose without despairing. When you begin to live with detachment, you feel lighter. The things that once made you angry now make you smile. The things that once scared you now make you observe. You no longer try to control everything, you simply master your response. And in that shift, freedom blooms. You cease being a puppet of emotion and become its conductor. This is the realm of one who abides in wisdom. No person, no circumstance can pull their strings anymore. They pass through praise and blame, gain and loss, like wind across a mountaintop. Not cold, but understanding. Not detached from life, but deeply awake within it. And when you reach that state, you realize detachment makes you lose nothing. It gives everything back. It returns your peace, your freedom, and your right to live like water, soft, flowing, and untethered. True strength is not measured by your ability to defeat others, but by your ability to remain unmoved in your inner peace no matter what others do. The 7 rules we've explored are not distant philosophies, but practical turns you can take in each moment of life. Observe the flame before it burns. See others as mirrors. Return to the breath to regain balance. Recognize the cause to stop the effect. Let go of the need to win. Reject the gift of insult. And choose silence when words cannot heal. All paths lead to one destination, inner freedom. When the mind is still, The world no longer has the power to define you. Buddhism does not teach you to feel less, but to feel deeply without being swept away. You can love without clinging face pain, without letting it define you. Each rule, if practiced, polishes the mind into a clear mirror reflecting life's storms without being stained by reaction, anger, or fear. When you learn to pause before anger, to listen instead of judge, to be silent instead of argue, you are already walking the path of liberation, not somewhere distant, but here in this very breath. Remember, peace does not come when the world grows quiet, but when your heart does. Others may be loud, you remain calm. Circumstances may change, you stay steady. When you no longer react blindly, no longer take others' words as truth, no longer cling to victory or defeat, then you have stepped out of the cage of emotion. You are no longer controlled, you have become the one in control. And the beauty is this strength is within everyone's reach. You don't need to climb a mountain or leave the world behind. You only need to begin with one mindful moment. When angry, pause and breathe. When insulted, smile and observe. When you want to react, ask yourself, will this bring me peace? With each small choice, each second of awareness, you begin to loosen emotion's grip and step into the light of wisdom. The world doesn't need more people fighting to be right. It needs more people who know when to be silent, when to let go, and when to love rightly. Be one of them, one who comes not to conquer but to understand, not to prove but to bring peace, not to rage but to illuminate. For in the end, the greatest victory in life is not conquering others but mastering yourself. And when you do, every storm outside becomes nothing more than a gentle wind.